Many gardeners, especially hydrangea lovers, have experienced dehydration problems with hydrangeas. People like me know how sensitive hydrangea is to water, how easily and quickly it can collapse if dehydrated. We all know that hydrangeas are not drought-resistant plants at all, and they love water during hot summer days. Even old, established bushes of hydrangea can show signs of dehydration if left without water for a long enough period of time. We did show a quick method of rehabilitation for dying or collapsed hydrangeas in one of our videos, so if you're interested, the link is below. But that was for a potted hydrangea plant. What do we do if the hydrangea is already planted in the garden already? For example, I can purchase a nice bush of hydrangea in garden centers for half the price at the end of the gardening season. And picky hydrangeas don't want to adapt, and they stay wilted despite any amount of water that I give it every day. What if I need to transplant or divide a hydrangea bush during the hot summer days? Well, here I'm going to divide and replant my Pinky Winky hydrangea and plant the young tree and young bushes at the beginning of July. And I'm going to share with you my method for reviving wilted hydrangea plants. And it doesn't matter if this is newly planted or an adapted hydrangea that collapsed. This method works for any hydrangea, for any variety, big leaf, panicle, smooth, or tough stuff hydrangeas. So as you can see, the root part is actually within an acceptable size, and it seems that there should be no problem for the hydrangea to adapt quickly. Yes, it would be completely correct if I planted these hydrangeas in fall or May, but in July, that can be a problem. And to understand why this is such a problem, you need to take a look at the root system. Hydrangea root systems are very different from other drought-resistant shrubs like lilac or rhododendron, those with deeper root systems, and they can find moisture during dry seasons because they can deepen their roots significantly. Hydrangea roots grow very close to the surface and are very shallow, around 6 inches deep. Their roots grow in a loose, spreading mass of fibers, often referred to as a root ball. Hydrangea roots are covered with hundreds and hundreds of tiny root hairs. Root hairs are responsible for fast absorption of water. When hydrangea is disturbed, pulled out of the ground or your pot, the root hairs are also destroyed, and they lose the ability to absorb water. The transplanted hydrangea needs to regrow these root hairs, and sometimes it can take 7 to 10 days to restore the full root system. This is why in hot summers, when the evaporation through the leaves surface is much faster than the absorption rate, hydrangea plants may collapse in spite of plenty of watering. This is not happening in the springtime because the leaves are smaller or absent completely, and lower temperatures don't support quick evaporation. I should tell you that if there's anything that can be done about this, it's not waiting. Waiting in this case is dangerous if there are no good showers or a cold front on the horizon. The plant can die completely and irreversibly. From my experience, there's only one thing that can help for these dying outdoor hydrangeas, and that thing is simply a clear plastic bag. I have to reduce the rate of evaporation, at least for 10 days, to give the hydrangea enough time to regrow their sucking root hairs. And what I do in this case is I put a tomato metal cage to prevent any damage of the hydrangea stems and the flower, and then I cover the whole plant with a transparent plastic bag. I leave a small opening at the bottom for sufficient ventilation. Additionally, I spray the bag inside with water to increase humidity inside the bag, and of course I give plenty of water to the ground around the bush itself. Normally on the very next day, or even within a few hours, any collapsed hydrangea bushes start to restore the turgor within their leaves and they begin to look normal. But I'm not in any rush to remove the bag, so I'll keep it for a few more days with occasional removal for nighttime, rainy days, or cloudy days. And I do this because if I remove the bag completely too early on, the hydrangea can collapse again, because there wasn't enough time to restore the sucking root hairs. When I finally see that the hydrangea can go without the bag for a few days without collapsing, I can permanently remove the bag. The time that's required will depend on the size of the root system and the weather. Sometimes when I remove the plastic bag too early on, in many cases the hydrangea is still not really well rooted and it can collapse again. But that's no problem. You just have to place the clear plastic bag back on top of the bush. So it's important to keep that plastic greenhouse you've kind of created for your hydrangea for at least 10 to 14 days, especially if the hydrangea was planted during the hot and dry time of the season. With my busy schedule, I can easily miss a severely dehydrated hydrangea way past the point of rehabilitation. And if I want to save my hydrangea, I need to make sure that the process of dehydration has not gotten too far and the plant cells are not completely collapsed. So there's still a way to turn back and restore life. Normally, the danger of severe dehydration will not reoccur again once the hydrangea bush regrows enough root hairs to balance the absorption to evaporation rate. The hydrangeas that I'm planting at the end of the season need at least 2 months before the ground gets frozen for successful overwintering. And you need to remember to be patient and smart when it comes to replanting or propagation.